All right, Tuesday, June 25th, taking a look at NQ here. Quick session recap. So we come into the session essentially wanting to see if yesterday's sellers were going to show any type of continuation move or whether the buyers were going to defend this critical area of support. We talked yesterday during the session recap as well as this morning about the importance of this support zone down here, 750 into that 700 area, kind of the last area of support before this enormous volume void and the nearest structure down into 400. So I'd mentioned, this is a very, very important area for buyers to be defending. And what we saw during that overnight session, if we kind of zoom in here a bit more, switch over to the 15-minute chart, is that price initially rallied versus yesterday's low, retest that area down into about 4 a.m., right? And you could see how responsive buyers are there again. And so we came into the session. One of the things I had mentioned during that pre-market prep live stream was that I didn't love an open right through here on NQ, mostly interested in either 800, but namely that 750 area. But one of the things I did mention that we actually saw pan out pretty nicely, which I wanted to bring to your attention, was to watch for this prior day intraday resistance. This is the 5-minute regular trading hours chart. Watch how price responds to this prior day lower high. If price can break higher, what you're going to see is that move into 910 as that kind of initial target, and then potentially up into 950. That move panned out pretty nicely. And then what you also have here, which is really what you want to be looking for intraday when it comes to structure trading, is not only the break above, so you don't need to be a buyer right here buying fresh session highs, but once that level actually breaks higher, just wait for the retest. Right, and then you see it again later in the afternoon. And this setup is actually really nice because we have VWAP in that area at that time, a little bit of a 2-hour trader framework type of setup. But not only that, we do have an undercut of the prior low, a little bit of a Wyckoff spring there. So that's always going to be a phenomenal setup. You're going to trap a lot of market participants with a move like this. So when you see the buyers really start to step in there, that can be a trade that you want to take, right? And of course, as always, the target is going to be the session highs there. So pretty nice action in the index today, despite the fact that it was actually an inside day. If you take a look at this chart here, we could see that the regular trading hours action was entirely within that prior day's range. So we have an inside bar on the daily chart. Main watch coming into tomorrow, it's going to be pretty simple, right? This same area that we've been watching for the past few days here, or like the past week now, is going to be how price trades versus this 950 area. Previously a key pivot right through here where I have the blue on the chart, right? We want to see if buyers can now defend this zone. Okay, we definitely have almost a change in character. A case could be made. That is kind of the tricky thing with the near-term structure here. I was talking this morning in the pre-market prep that a case could be made that the change in character would occur over this most recent lower high. But what I had mentioned was that personally, I'd rather see price up and through this prior day high. So I'll be looking at that 20K level. That's that prior day high. We can see kind of the resistance right through here. If price can really break that prior day high, that 20K level, and continue to defend this 950, most likely be looking at a retest up into this 080 level. And then it's going to be just price discovery up into this area, right? We do have that high volume node right through here. So a couple of ideas to be watching for, right? It is, of course, possible that sellers start to show up in this 20K area again, in which case we have some pretty clear levels to be working with. I mean, this can just be considered, a new near-term range, which aligns pretty nicely with what I was talking about on Friday's session recap, taking it back to last week, actually, with the fact that we don't have any major economic data prints yesterday, today, or tomorrow. And we have seen some recently pretty big volatility. So typically what you'll see in those scenarios is price tends to just search for value and kind of trade within that near-term range. And that is more evident, in my opinion, in ES here, with price holding that prior area of resistance, now holding as support this morning. See a little bit of the range expansion yesterday, most likely trapping people on both sides just to trade within the prior day's range today. And so what we'll be looking at here on ES for tomorrow, again this morning, wanting to see how price would trade versus that 510 by 520 area. Prior resistance, right? Look at the structure. Now holds as support. Okay, treat it like a higher time frame zone, and price ultimately resolves higher. Not quite into that upside 55.45 area, but pretty close. Pretty close, marking a session high here at 38.39 area. So tomorrow's watch, we'll be looking to see how price trades versus today's high, as well as this upside near-term resistance point up into 55.45. As of right now, ES remains as just near-term range trading. Wednesday, not expecting a whole lot of action. Tomorrow, when I say that, I just mean big volatility. We do have the big prints, big economic data prints on Thursday and Friday. So should see some fireworks, some volatility with those two sessions as of tomorrow. Expectations are just for continued range trading within the key pivots and the key levels of interest that we have been watching for the better part of a week now. So hope everyone had a profitable session. There were some pretty good setups today. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM in the Traders Think Tank. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good afternoon.